I'm just opening up a mitral case now. You just need to double click and select the mitral valve structure. And it will open up this interface. On your left-hand side is all the modules. Femoral planning, septal crossing, TE planning is on your left-hand side. On your right-hand side is your workflow. First step is to locate the mitral valve. On this window, I will just find the mitral valve and just place a dot like this, and just making sure that the dot is placed centrally on this coronal and sagittal window. Based on this dot, we are going to find the mitral annulus. So just making sure that we are at the right place, and then just press on the mitral assessment on your right, and it will give a segmented view of the left and atrium and ventricle with the dot that you placed here. It automatically selects the apex, and this is the long axis view, short axis view here, and the volume rendering view on the bottom. The next step is to trace the mitral annulus. So you can do it either manually or automatically. I'll first show you the manual process. For that, you have to press on the pencil icon on the right, and it will let you click. You have to click 16 times just at the hinge point where the mitral valve takes off from the annulus. So here, the hinge point where the mitral valve takes off, you have to click right here, and the software will automatically rotate around that point 16 times. So every 22.5 degrees, the software will rotate, and you have just to click and it will rotate. So you are tracing an annulus, you're clicking, and then the software is rotating, just placing a point where you think the mitral valve takes off from the hinge point. So I'm just clicking, and the software is rotating around the yellow marker. So I'm just placing a dot where I think the mitral valve takes off. And the software is rotating every time I place a dot.
Xoay từ từ xoay từ từ để nó vẽ ra cái vòng vai.
So this has made an annulus. So I pressed 16 times and it has made an annulus. The white portion is the anterior, and the red one is the posterior. And you can check and edit what you have just traced. So you can edit the annulus if you want to. You can go and edit the contour. So once you press that, you can see where the dots are placed, and you can either check every single dot that you have placed. You can maneuver, and you can change and edit each dot to make sure you have placed the dots correctly. Or you can choose the single point view, where you can see this is the on the bottom right, you can see the unfolded annulus, and you make sure the line is in the black portion. So just checking to make sure I have dots at the right point.
Còn cái vòng mà ở vòng đó thì quay nó có này, nó làm video rồi đó. Video đen đó, ra đen với lại nó dựa trên này, nó xoay từ từ nó đốt.
Right, so once you're happy, you can conform and you can come back to this. So that's the manual way of doing it. You can also do it in each phase. I don't have the systolic phase. I just have 70, 80, and 90%, but you can go to a different phase, maybe say 70. you can click on your 70% phase and press on the Find Mitral Annulus, and the software will automatically trace the annulus for you. So the software has already traced the annulus for you in this phase. So you can see it's already traced the annulus for you. You just need to make sure you're happy with what the software has done. So you just need to check everything and make sure you're happy and then confirm. And that's the annulus for you that the software traced for you. So this is for 70, I did for 80. You can do it for each phase, or the software can do the tracing in each phase automatically. So once you trace the annulus, the next thing is to find the trigones. So on your top left, you can see there's already 2 markers placed for the trigon points. You need to make sure you place them at the right point. I'm going to find the trigons using the top right hand view. So you have this view here. You slowly rotate the view until the aortic cusp goes out of your view, just right there. So it's not in your view. So I will just put this pink dot in this line corresponding to this line. So this is my trigon point corresponding to this line. So this is the trigon. Same thing for the green one. So I'll just rotate it. And here, see, once the aortic cusp disappears, that's my trigon point for here. So I've got both the trigons here. And once you place the trigon points, you can right click here and press show info, and it will show you the information here. So based on the trigon points, TT is the trigon distance here. AP is the anterior posterior distance. CC is the commissure distance measured. This is the longest distance parallel to the TT distance here. And there are different measurements based on this annulus area, perimeter, distance, everything is shown here. And you can either choose which measurements to show or turn off if you don't want to. And you can also choose to make your own commissure to commissure measurement. If you're not happy with this, you can right click and edit CC, and then just hover around where you can see the leaflets, and then the point here where you the leaflet, just you can't see the leaflet taking off. Just use your commissure point here, and same thing for the other side. Until you can't see the leaflet, probably around here. Is your commissure point. So you can link this to your report, right click, link info to the report, and every measurement will be shown on this report. Can you see the report?
Yeah.
Can you see the report screen?
Okay.
Yeah. So this
Yeah,
all the
okay,
measurements will. Yeah. So the all the measurements will be recorded here. And now you can choose to have a D-shaped annulus. So if you want a D-shaped annulus, right click and D-shape, and it will, from the trigon points, it will change the annulus to a D-shaped annulus. So you avoid the overestimation of the mitral annulus. So you have a D-shaped annulus now. Any questions?
Vâng. Đây là ông tính cho mình cái annulus đúng không, với cái dưới commissure thì hả, cái đường kính qua cái commissure nó được dọc với cái ba thông tin thôi. So it's a first dot you choose what is the exact place you choose first dot in
First
mitral
dot.
valve.
It
Dot. Yeah.
it's you don't have to be exactly place the dot. It says you to place the dot just above the mitral valve in the middle,
Yeah.
near the atrium, just
See.
above the mitral valve. It doesn't have to be precise,
Yeah.
but just making sure
Yeah.
it's just
So,
above the
so
mitral valve.
in the center, yes, center just above two lip
The
lap,
valve.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct,
Above two lip lap
correct.
in the
And
center, right?
correct. And the annulus will, the software will rotate around that point. So it will trace the annulus around that point. So if it's not off, if it's off center, your annulus will not be centered. So if it's in center, you will trace the annulus around
I
this
see, I
dot
see.
that you place.
Cái cơ bản của phần mềm nó chọn cái điểm trước mà. Cái điểm là ngay trung tâm của cái vòng này, chọn lên trong cái vòng.
Tự chọn.
Mình phải chọn, bắt buộc mình phải chọn, rồi sau đó mới thăng mấy kia, nó mới theo mấy kia. Yeah. So hình như là nó chỉ manual một phase đúng không? Mấy phase kia là tự ra. So the question is we just do manually one phase and then other phase automatically, right?
No, you can do automatically all the phase. I just wanted to show you you can do it manually if you want to. If some data is not good and the software cannot do it automatically, you can do it yourself, or normally you can just do a automatic and you can check the points yourself, and if you're happy, confirm. You don't have to do manual and automatic. You can do everything automatic.
I see. So it's include all informations, include annulus, commissure, and other distance, right?
Yeah, so
By
you
automatically. Yeah.
yes, once you do the automatic annulus, you have this annulus here, and you need to position the trigones, and then you have all the information. So once you have the annulus, you put the trigone points here, and then you get all this information.
Yeah. So for mitral valve replacement, what phase you recommend? Systolic or diastolic?
Normally, this software will choose around 75% phase, but you can, if you have a multi-phase data, you can do it in either systole or diastole, and then compare the data in two phase. You can do the comparison here. So I will show you afterwards when I don't have the systolic phase here, but if you have the data, you can compare systole, diastole, do measurement in two phase, do the annulus in both the phase and compare.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Now I will. The next step after you have done the measurement is you can trace the aortic center line. So I'm pressing on the pencil button here, and it will show this aortic root. It's similar to what you saw yesterday. So center line is the yellow center line, and it's finding the three cusps. I'm doing automatically find cusp nadirs. It will find the 3 points, right cusp, left, and the none. So once you're happy with the 3 cusp, confirm, and now you have the aortic center line here. The yellow line is the aortic center line, and now you can see the aortomitral angle, the angle between the aortic normal and the mitral normal. you have the aortic mitral angle. I'll hide it. Now you can place a virtual valve here, virtual mitral valve. So for that, you can press on the eye icon here, and it will place a virtual valve here. If you have a STL file from your mitral valve vendor, if they give you a STL file, you can import that file here, and you can upload that valve, and you can open it up. In place of this custom valve, you can have the valve from a vendor here. So with all the actual measurements, you can define the size of the valve here. If you press on the pencil icon, you can choose what height, inflow outflow measurement. You can change the dimensions of the valve. You can have a flange. You can have a skirt height. You can do variation depending upon what your valve looks like. You can change the dimensions of the valve. You can offset it from where we have. You can offset it towards the atrium or towards the ventricle, or you can choose to have a 30-70 atrium to ventricle, maybe 30-70. So it will be 30% towards atrium, 70 towards ventricle, whatever is required. And in the red dot will allow you to move it manually, and the green will allow you to rotate. And if you right click on the red dot, you can snap it to the mitral annulus, and it's attached to the mitral annulus. So you can snap it to the annulus. And with this, you can also, if you have different phases, you can have the same orientation of the valve in all the phases. You can right click and this copy orientation to all the phases, and this orientation will be copied to all other phases in your workflow. So once you have this virtual valve placed, now you can calculate the neo LVOT to see how your LVOT is obstructed by the virtual valve. For this, you can press on the eye icon here, and it will show you the neo LVOT graph and LVOT graph here. You can see how the LVOT is calculated here. So the passage is blocked by the virtual valve, so this is already calculated for you. The white part is the LVOT, and the blue part is the neo LVOT calculated based on the obstruction caused by the virtual valve. So you can still make some adjustment if you want to. You can make some adjustment to the LVOT and neo LVOT, but it's already measured for you. And you can choose what a phase you are working on. If you're working on in systole or in diastole, you can choose the phase that you are working on. If you're working on in diastole, you can select in diastole. And if you're working on in systole, you can choose in systole. And you can, if you're working on a different phase here, you can choose a different, like a systole or diastole. You can do that in 2 phases. And once you do that, it will automatically populate on your report. So in diastole, I've just done the in diastole. So neo LVOT is already done here, and your virtual valve, the size of your valve, everything is here. And if you also calculate it for another phase, you can have the information here.
Vâng hả? Là bỏ.
Mm,
Ôi mà.
Yeah.
so also you can, I'll just delete this.
đo thì nó dễ thôi.
Cái neo LVOT nó bao nhiêu thì mình lại làm được.
Thì bây giờ phải có cái tiêu chuẩn để nó không thì nó obstruction thì mình đặt cho bao nhiêu khó khăn.
You have any questions? I can
chọn
for the LVOT, new LVOT. Do you have questions?
yeah. So the what's the definition the definition of narrow and neo LVOT means area or perimeter.
So you can have so once you do this, you can have the surface area and yeah, so you can have a perimeter area, anything, yeah, whatever is useful for you. Yeah, you can show you there.
Yeah. But normally is what's the definition of obstruction? Yeah, obstructive neo LVOT.
Yeah,
By area or perimeter.
So I think it's the area that you're looking at, how much area is obstructed by your virtual valve. So because it's on the LVOT, so you want to measure what portion of the LVOT is obstructed, the largest area that is obstructed by your new virtual valve. So you want to calculate how much obstruction is being caused, so you can decide the placement of a valve. You want to push it further back, further down, or use a different size of valve. So yeah, it depends.
Yeah. Chắc mình phải coi cái định nghĩa nó, cái này nó không có đo được áp lực nó. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry. So how much obstruction is acceptable?
Oh, I'm not sure about that. Probably have to ask clinicians. I'm not sure about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the CT cannot measure gradient of LVOT, right? Gradient change LVOT, neo LVOT. Can you measure gradient change LVOT by CT with the 3MENSION?
The pressure gradient.
So what gradient?
LVOT, neo LVOT gradient.
Gradient.
Can measure by yeah.
So new LVOT is only calculated after you have the valve in there. So for the pre-planning, probably how can you? Does that make sense? So new LVOT is you can only calculate it after you place the valve. You place the valve and then you see how much obstruction it will cause. So for the planning, you actually don't have a valve CT with the already valve in it. So for the pre-planning, you have a virtual valve and then calculate the new LVOT to decide if the valve is suitable for you.
Nó không dự đoán được.
Cái chuyện nhiều thì nghĩa là sau khi mà đặt cái van vô
đặt nó sẽ lòi, cái đó là
cái này nó giả lập trước. Nó giả lập trước, và nếu mình đặt cái van vô đó thì cái LVOT nó có nghẽn hay
không là cái neo LVOT là sau khi bị nghẹn,
sau khi thả cái van rồi,
sau khi đã
nó không tiên đoán được mấy cái chỉ số area nghĩ mình đọc sách có, còn cái mà nó mô ảo cho cái áp lực thì nó mô không được, phải không? Chưa tới trình độ thông minh đâu. Rồi câu hỏi gì khác? Any other question? Neo LVOT is very important. Cái van hồi nãy nó chọn bên này đúng không? Mình đưa vô đây. Để có cái chọn mà chỉnh cái van. Hỏi gì nữa không? Vâng. Hiền hỏi cho mình. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So
yeah, okay, yeah. Good.
All right. You can also do a volume measurement. So if you press on the ventricle, it will calculate the ventricular volume for you. So you can select the area or make changes to the area that it's selected. And if you scroll down, it will, all the slices that it is measured the volume. So volume is 116. Conform, you can do that for each phase. So you can measure the ventricular volume for each phase that you have. and it will automatically calculate the ejection fraction for you. So if you go to EDES here, if you have a in systolic data, it will automatically calculate the lowest volume and then choose it at in systolic or in diastolic. Because I don't have the data here, I have you can choose which phase to be in systolic or diastolic, and it will show you the ejection fraction as well, if you have a in systolic and in diastolic, and you can link that to your report as well. And you have the ejection fraction here. If you have the multi-phase data, it will populate here as well. And next, you can also measure hide this. You can also measure the coronary vessels to see if how far they are from the mitral annulus, what they are in respect to the annulus or the valve. So you can measure the distance of the LCX or coronary sinus. You can do it automatically as well. So let's say automatic. So it's the coronary sinus. You can label it. Find CX. So that's already done for you, LCX and coronary sinus, and you can change it to a heart and see what they look like with respect to, I can turn. So this is your LCX and coronary sinus with respect to your mitral annulus. You can measure the distance. You can right click here, add curve, and you can measure the distance. So from the annulus to your LCX, or from you can see it's already measured for you. So
Mình chọn màu sáng, chọn label.
Màu vàng, mặt mẫu,
and you can also see your angio view, see how your valve looks like here, and see which is the optimal projection angle, the CT angle. You can see the LAO and RAO cranial, which is suitable for implantation. You can see the different angles here.
Cái vai mình để lúc mình làm, cái góc đó lúc mình làm. Chọn cái
And
góc
you
để
can
mình
see if you change to hockey puck view, you can see the calcification as well.
Yeah. Giống tờ vi.
If you don't have any questions, I can move to septal crossing planning.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
So sorry, you go. So the femoral planning is similar to what the aortic planning was yesterday. So I'll not go through the femoral planning. I can go to the septal crossing. So how you go from your IVC to your septum, you can plan that. So on your left hand side, you can see septal crossing. Press on that, and you'll have this window, press on septum assessment. And now you can define your septum contour here. So what you need to do is you need to, so it's already placed dots on your fossa ovalis. Just need to align it here. Make sure it's on both the
hai cái gì chả hai cái
views.
gì ta cái gì đúng không, một cái màu một cái không màu
So once you're happy with the placement in your fossa ovalis, press next.
Yes.
And
bấm như lỗ
similar to the mitral, you
chấm thôi, điểm chọn chắc chọn cái điểm
you place dots and then it will rotate around that dot for you. So I'm just pressing on the contour and it's automatically rotating for me.
Còn cái điểm nào mình chặt được ngon á, đang tùy.
So that's the septum contour. So if you're happy with it, you can still make any changes if you want to, but I'm happy with it, so I'm just conform. So that's your septum contour. And the red mark is your puncture point. So this is your puncture point, and you can move the puncture point and you can see the septum angle, the angle that you have from the septum crossing to the mitral, distance, puncture point distance, septum distance, everything is here. As you move the puncture point, it will change all the values.
Mỗi điểm chọc nó sẽ có cái kia khoảng cách khác nhau, góc khác nhau.
You can also define your vena cava. So vena cava, if I press on the vena cava, it will come up with this window. Up here is SVC already here, so I'll just make sure I'm in SVC and the orifice is already here, SVC orifice. I need to define it as superior vena cava. I press on superior, and you need to do it twice for each vena cava, so two points. So I'll just move it around, make sure it's superior, so it's defined. I'll move down to the inferior vena cava now. Make sure the contour is correct. Inferior. I'll do it one more time. So inferior and superior vena cava, it's defined. You can also define the orifice of your superior and inferior vena cava. Press on orifice. Place it just near the opening of the vena cava. In both the windows. So once you're happy, click on IVC orifice. You can do the same for IVC.
Trong khi có 3MENSION mới đổi cái giá đọc em trị của nó phải trong tự bị đâu à chứ là ngồi cho điên luôn. Bữa nó có đề xuất mà chưa có bây giờ mua 3MENSION thì cái giá đặt nó sẽ khác. Cái đọc của ca là điên luôn.
So once you're done that, you can see the vena cavas or the SVC and IVC, and the angle from the SVC or angle from the IVC to the septum.
Chọc đưa xuống đây. Tại cái điểm chọn là nó cũng quan trọng này, rồi em chọc cao quá em đi nó khó, chọc thấp đi nó cũng dính đây, chọc đúng thì đi nó dọc như vậy. Yeah.
So next you can create a catheter that passes from your IVC to septum to the mitral valve. You can press on the create catheter. and you have a catheter that goes from here, so you can see the bending angles.
Nó định vị mình, lúc mình chậm quá mình định vị.
So you can see the angles, distance. You can make control. You can change the distance or the angle to make sure you are optimizing it. And once you're happy, you can take take a screenshot and to record the angles. And you can lock it so you can't move it.
Mình thả nó vào nó ngon được. Em để méo méo vậy em thả nó lệch, thả ngon. Khi mà là xuống thẳng leo vâng. Đó, thả là xuống chóc. Chứ hướng em đây mà em thả dày là nó lệch.
Yeah, you can optimize it to the sleep part to go into the right. See where it goes. So you can put your valve in and see how it fits. You can optimize the delivery part and see how it looks like. And you can change the size of the catheter, or change all the dimension of the catheter, bending angles, everything. You can do it here. And once you've done that, you can record all the a screenshot of all the angles and measurements. Any questions? I can also show you TEE planning.
Yeah. Yes.
So you can do the mitral on the TEE. Do you do it on the TEE?
Yeah.
So it's
cái đầu dò mình để chỗ nào á để mình canh đó mà nhìn cho nó rõ.
First step is to define your esophagus. I cannot
Làm cái này nó
hardly see it, so I'm just guessing the path of the TEE. It's not very clear, but all right. That's how your TEE goes down. You can see. So this is a simulated ultrasound view of your TEE, and you can, on the right hand side is all the angles and transducers that you can make to see the views.
Đặt cái đường dò thì để tới đuôi đúng nhìn cho rõ thôi.
Vậy trên màn hình qua mình thấy cái đầu dò thì
Thực ra cái này thì để mình planning trước thôi vâng. Cái đầu dò thực quản mình giống siêu âm á, để tới để lui có cái view nó đẹp nhất. Đó.
ngập trước ngã sau xoay
Đó,
trái
này rõ này.
Yeah, it looks like here it changes.
Đây là
You can see how.
Tổng là 101 thì 101 đỡ quá ha. 101
So you can change the different parameters of your transducer and see what angles is the best to go, and you already have which angle to go through and what angle is the best to have this view. So this is very good for planning TE if you need to. You can also do planning, or if you have 3D echo data, you can upload it into here, 3D echo, and then do the planning from there. I don't know how to do it yet, so but if you want to do that, you can do this in software. You have the mitral like 3D echo data. Instead of doing in a CT, you can plan it through 3MENSION, your 3D echo data, and then you can do the measurements and everything. And everything will come into a report. Whatever screenshot you've done, everything will be here. You can make comments or anything, any changes. Everything can be done in 3MENSION.
nó giống cái template luôn á, không cần đến đó luôn, comment impression cái đâu cần cái template gì đó. Lâu hả?
làm thẳng
Bố
luôn đi.
thẳng đem cho nó gọn.
Số đặc trưng mấy cái thông số.
If you have a multi-phase data, you can also do a cine loop and see how it looks like. If you have a multi-phase data, you can do a cine and see what it looks like. Yeah. If you have any questions, let me know. In 10 minutes, there will be Nathan from Netherlands will join for tricuspid and pulmonary.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
If you have any questions, I can review it now, or if you had any questions from yesterday of aortic, I can also show you something if you have any questions.
Yeah. I think we go ahead with tricuspid and pulmonary valve. Then we will may ask you some question later.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
in 10 minutes, Nathan will join in 10 minutes. So if you want a 10-minute break, I'll still be around.
Go ahead. No break. Yeah, no break. Yeah, no need break.
Okay, I'll tell Nathan to come now. So he just left. I'll ask him to come and start.
Okay. Okay, waiting for him. Yeah.
Okay.
Cái kia mình có vẻ mình rành rồi. Mà tao biết này thì cần phải làm một bài ca rồi mới học kinh nghiệm đấy. Nhưng mà cái mà Khải Dĩ làm nhiều thì là tao biết với lại
Em tôi bỏ lại xin demo cái này.
cái Mitral là từ nè. Okay, one question is coming. So this is a native mitral valve, right? So normally we do procedure with a ring or bioprotective valve degeneration. So the measurement is the same.
I'm not sure about what measurements it require. Do you do what do you call the anchors? Do you do anchoring?
Yeah.
Do you do anchors?
The patient with prior ring or prior
okay. So valve in valve.
Yeah.
So you want to do valve in valve for mitral. So this is a different. So there's another way of doing for valve. It's different than this. This is for native valve. If for valve with valve, you have to do the measurements with respect to the previous valve. So if you already have a valve, you have to do measurements around that valve. So that's different. If you want to learn about that, we can have separate presentation for that. It's a different measurements.
Okay. Waiting for that presentation later. Yeah. Còn cái vòng với cái van sinh học á, này tiếp là khó lắm á. Cái vòng với sinh học thì dễ hơn. Ở sao xếp cái đó. Vòng van hay lá với lại van sinh học đo cắt. Rồi chào ông kia không?
Dạ con
Ông kia là ba lá với phổi.
nó phát hiện vào rồi nhưng mà chắc là chờ đem ốc.
Cái vòng với lại van hay lá sinh học
for the valve in valve, there is a app from USA from a doctor. There's an app you can download, and it will tell you what kind of valve suits for if you already have a valve in Edwards or whatever, what valve will suit that valve. So there's an app you can download, that valve in valve app, and you can design your measurements in respect to that valve. So we work closely with the designers of that app. So I'll send you the details of the app. Like it's a valve in valve app, so you can have all the details of the previous valve and what valve we're going to use. Everything will be in that app. It's a free app.
Yes. có cái app mình coi được, cái này chủ yếu là cái phần mềm nó để có phương tiện cho một bạn, cái phần mình cái basic rồi mình tự làm là chính mà tự mày mò.
xác định được cái độ bền.
Dục cái đó nó có cái định nghĩa để xác định CT á, mà CT thì cái đó mình phải đọc cái mấy đứa này nó kỹ thuật viên này, mình ra nó vị trí đó. Đấy cần kiến thức cao, cái xác định lỗ bầu dục ở trên CT có. Có hỏi gì không? Có hỏi gì Long không? Bác sĩ Long có hỏi gì không? Phải làm một vài ca bắt đầu mới có nhiều cái challenge ha. Sau đó điểm mà
Dạ vâng, bác Tuấn có nghĩa là
Yeah.
cái section training này á, là sau này đây là cái section training đợt 1, thì sau khi mà các bác sĩ bên mình dùng xong đánh giá một vài ca rồi, mình sẽ có một cái section training thứ hai là để mình challenge những cái mà mình làm giống như bác Tuấn vừa đề cập á, là mình sẽ còn một cái section training nữa bác ạ. Ngoài cái section mình training này,
đúng rồi.
dạ thì mình sẽ còn một cái buổi
đúng rồi.
mà các bác dùng thử rồi có các cái challenge gì thì mình bắt đầu với đặt question.
Cái kế hoạch nó là như vậy á, bữa ấy rồi.
Dạ vâng, đúng rồi ạ. Mình sẽ có hai section training, để mình có section thứ hai là để challenge những cái mà mình trong quá trình mình làm mình còn thắc mắc ấy, thì mình sẽ challenge trong đợt 2 ạ. Dạ vâng.
Cảm ơn.
Vâng. Vậy thì tiếp tục mình tới cái thứ hai là của Mitral hay là của
tới là của ba lá với phổi, là chờ cái anh gì đó.
Dạ. Của bên Jacobic và Pulmonary. Dạ, để em nói. Hi, Pranish. Hello.
Yes, Nathan will be here for tricuspid. Just give me 2 minutes.
Yes,
he will be back.
Yeah. We go to the Jacobic and Pulmonary.
Pulmonary. Yeah.
Hoặc là xem thực quản, vâng. Còn cái siêu âm này đánh giá mấy vị phải là còn
cái van mà nó lật lên lật xuống sai nó cũng rất rất từ một cái tiền.
phải là không phải tính thôi. Hai cái mà khả dĩ nhất mình là cái airway closure với lại TAVI. TAVI hầu như mình làm ngọt rồi đó. TAVI là được rồi đâu ha. TAVI mình làm có vẻ ngon. Nghĩ mình cái tiếp là cái airway closure đó sẽ là cái anh ba lá hay lá rồi tạo ra lắm.
Hello, Nathan.
Này rồi. Yeah. Hello.
Hello, Nathan.
So, you just finished mitral, am I correct?
Yes, okay. Just finished Mitral. Now we go to the
We can have a look at
in
the
Pulmonary.
tricuspid as well. Please confirm that you can see my screen.
Okay, I can see your screen.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes, okay.
Don't seem to hear.
Okay, có cái software nào cái đó này em sẽ nói có một cái con là bó tay
cái góc góc này.
Cool.
Can you hear me or not?
Cây này là của ổng không? Mấy cái cây của ổng.
Dạ, cái là cái test
Cây test của
đợt em cũng có một license để mua, em có 1 tháng cái license em tặng mấy cái test em hết.
không có cây ở đây thì nhiều, đây chụp nhiều. Kỹ thuật chụp là mình phải tự lo đó mà. Cái kỹ thuật chụp
Thì dễ lắm.
chụp là cảnh quan, còn nó không đúng là đo nó chỉ dành là Vi là anh thấy ngọt rồi đó ha. Chạy Vi là béo report ra giống kia nào không?
Dạ, dạ, giống.
We can hear you, Nathan.
Manish, can you hear me or not?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Because I can't. Okay. Okay, I'll just rejoin, I think.
He's just having some technical issues.
Okay, don't worry.
Yeah, he'll join.
Hello. Can you guys now hear me? Superb.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I hear you.
Sure, what's wrong just before? Can you also see my screen now?
Cậu sĩ Hiền nãy giờ chưa bắt đầu.
Ông Gen không để lên.
Bao nhiêu?
Để cho 160.
Kịch vậy. Ủa chứ về à?
Giờ bây giờ đang lên về luôn, em lên cho thuốc hiệu, lấy thuốc bổ, cái gì.
So you just finished the mitral part, is that correct? And now we're going to look at the tricuspid. So
Yeah.
if correct, you're all already aware of the basic functionalities. If I'm doing something that you don't quite understand, please say so and I'll explain. So I'm just going to load a tricuspid study for now. And then I'm going to first show the main workflow functionalities, and then I'm going to skip to a different data set to show the IVC and SVC workflows as well. As we go, you'll also see that there will be a lot of similarities with the mitral workflow as well.
Ngày mai là chỉ có một cái thôi không ạ?
Dạ.
Đó.
So just like with the mitral, the first step is to place one dot in the middle of the tricuspid space. This dot can also be altered in the coronal and sagittal views by dragging and dropping with the left mouse button. After that, we click tricuspid assessment. And you'll see that a right ventricular center line is again created from the dot we just placed up to the right ventricular atrium. By holding down our left mouse button, we can spin around this view. And we can, of course, also move the dots. On the right side of the screen, we have the available options in this workflow, which we'll go over, of course. We can define the tricuspid annulus manually. Then we can also define or look at the leaflets. We can drop in an aortic valve, which is only for reference in this workflow, of course. Then we can ask the software to automatically segment the trabeculations in the right side of the heart. And we can show the vena cava superior and inferior. These two have them first need to be defined on the left side of the screen. So here in the sidebar, you see that there's a separate superior vena cava and inferior vena cava workflow. Those could be, of course, used to plan ventricularizations of the right atrium, so trick valve or similar valves like that. We can also look at approach and echo planning. Just water. Apart from that, we can of course define vessels, show a virtual valve, and also a catheter path could then be placed if we have an inferior vena cava towards this valve, and we can do volume measurements as well. Any questions up to this point?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay. That's good.
Let's start by defining the atrium. Just like on the left side of the heart, we'll just follow the leaflet down to the hinge point of the heart. Then we'll place one left mouse click. Then the software will automatically rotate the viewport, and we can again follow the leaflet down to the heart wall. We keep on doing this for 10 positions. The tricuspid annulus is a slightly simpler structure, so instead of 16, we can only do 10 dots here. After defining all, you can see that a annulus is dropped in. We can now also switch to this annulus to check and correct if needed. Also note that... Sorry?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. You can also see that there is that there are 3 commissure points. So the septal anterior, the septal posterior, and the anterior posterior commissure points. Tricuspid valves often are, of course, also either quad or bicuspid. Sometimes we even see syncuspid valves. For that reason, you can perform a right mouse click and delete the anterior posterior commissure or add additional commissure points to match your anatomy. This patient actually has 3 leaflets, so we'll leave it for at this for now. Apart from the manual way of defining, of course, we also have an automatic definition. Just move to a different phase and then select define tricuspid annulus button. And then all phases will be measured. And after measuring, we're presented with the results that the software found. We need to move at least one of the dots in order to confirm that the human has checked and corrected. And we can automatically jump to a different phase as well to check that one as well. If we're happy with the defined annuli, we can just click confirm to jump back to the overview workflow. Then maybe let's spend a moment to talk about commissure point definition. So the 3 initial points are just rough estimates by the software. Those, of course, need to be checked and corrected. One way of doing this is by looking at your long axis view. We can clearly see a leaflet here at the bottom. when we slowly rotate, we'll see the leaflet become smaller and smaller, or the cross section of the leaflet. And then at some point, which is approximately here, the leaflet will have fully disappeared, and there we see it return again. So in this case, the SP can go slightly to the counterclockwise, but apart from that, it looks all right. So that's one way of trying to find or double check the commissure points. The second is by focusing fully on your short axis view and scrolling up and down. And once we scroll up and down, you can see one leaflet and a second leaflet here. And then if we scroll up, we can see them merge with the wall approximately here. So that's the second way of finding the commissure points. Any questions here?
Yep. Question. Cũng giống Thái Lan. Đẩy xuống thì cũng được. Yeah. So I think that's clear. Yeah. Quite similar to mitral valve. So you can go ahead.
And then after we've checked and corrected the commissure points, let me quickly also do it for the systolic. We can then go into the leaflet workflow when we go there. By default, you'll see that schematic leaflets have been drawn. These can, of course, be deleted. And then by clicking on the green pencil button, we can trace the actual leaflets. You're then asked to place 5 cross sections by performing a left mouse clicks along the leaflet and then ending with a second left mouse click. Sometimes for some cross section, and that's also the reason why we do this, you might not be able to see the full leaflet, but typically after rotating, you'll see the leaflet in neighboring slices as well. So we can then just check and correct to make sure that we've followed the leaflet in all cross sections. Somewhat lower here. And we can then, of course, do this for all 3 leaflets. Just...
Nó vẽ manual như mình. Chứ còn nó automatic. Yeah.
Yeah. After defining all 3 leaflets, we can then get automatic length measurements as well as denting measurements. Just give me a second. There we go. So by now performing a right mouse click, we can ask the software to show the length, which is the length of each of the leaflets, and is automatically updated as we rotate. We can also show the co-adaptation measurements. Of course, then there still needs to be co-adaptation. In this case, this is quite a diseased patient, so there's no opposition whatsoever. But for those cases, we can also show... Sorry? For those cases, we can also show the tenting measurements, and then you can also see that the gap area is shown. So in this case, it's a gap area of 1.3 cubic centimeters, which is also shown nicely here. Any questions here?
Okay. It's okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's going well. Going well. Yeah.
Then the next step maybe would be to look at the tribulations. If we click on the eye icon next to, and of course we can also show the leaflets in this workflow. And then if you define the leaflets for all phases, you can also play the center of the leaflets through time. We can automatically detect the tribulations as well. So by clicking on the eye icon, you'll see that the tuberculations will be marked in green and are also shown in your angio view. And this might then help you to find a optimal projection angle where you can safely cross the valve with a catheter without getting entangled. Apart from that, we of course can also define vessels. Did Pranish already explain the vessel definition in mitral as well? Or not?
Yes, I did. We can show it again if you want to.
Yeah. So if we click on automatic, we can hover over a vessel. This could either be in a short axis view, and then you can see at the bottom two views already a preview, or in a long axis view where we click, it will be logged in. All vessels can always be grown, so either automatically or manually defined, can just be grown, and then you'll go into the grow side step where you can elongate the vessel as you see fit.
I see. I see. I see.
And once you've defined the vessel, you can, for example, also flip and grow in the other direction. In this case, we're already all the way at the aorta, so no need there. And we can then do a couple of measurements. We can measure along the vessel, but we can also measure for each position the distance between the annulus and the vessel. This could be either every 10 millimeters or every 5 millimeters. This could help us decide whether or not the coronary is at risk of obstruction when we do any interventions. Then we've got the automatic volume measurements as well. So we just click on one of the options, so either ventricular or atrial, and the software will start measuring the volumes for us. This could, for example, help us in detecting end-diastolic and end-systolic, but can also help us acquire cardiac output, so stroke volume, etc. Which devices do you currently use in the tricuspid space?
Could you repeat? Could you repeat your question?
Which devices do you currently use in the tricuspid space?
Yeah, for TAVI was done in many cases, but for tricuspid valve, so we just start to do the K. Maybe it's a triclips or valve replacement. Yeah. So we not no so far as
But
no
you're starting the process now. Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for tricuspid valve, yeah.
Yep. And then you can see that the volume is automatically traced and is divided up in slices. We can make adjustments if we want. Scroll to the next slice, and then you also see which slice you're adjusting by the dotted line. But overall, I think it's quite a good trace. Automatic, but still fully adjustable by you. Same goes, of course, for the atrium. And the advantage is that we can now also see this volume curve over our multi-phase diagram, where you can see the volumes in each single phase. By clicking on the virtual valve, we can then virtually implant the valve, snap to the annulus. The valve can be rotated, or the position relative to the atrium can of course be locked in. Sorry. Any questions about this portion of the workflow still before we move to the superior and inferior vena cava workflows?
That's good. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
You can go to the next button.
Yeah, so if we click on inferior vena cava, then we can drop in a center line in the inferior vena cava. This could help us to either plan ventriculations, so placing a valve in both superior and inferior vena cava in order to stop the blood there, and then we can just basically ignore the tricuspid valve. And this workflow is quite similar to, for example, the femoral workflow in other modules as well. So we can create a center line. Along the center line, we can perform length measurements, for example, to see how far the distance is to the top hepatic. We can also do diameter measurements, which can be either manual by Teams. Oh, sorry, Teams logo is on top. There you go. So it can be manual, or we can also have automatic measurements like this if we see a blue dotted line, depending of course on the contrast of in the inferior / superior vena cavas as well. Apart from doing these diameter measurements, we also have the option to lock in a orifice. And this orifice is a bit of the same procedure as we also will follow with LAA definition. So we can rotate and move the plane to fit our anatomy. And then if we're happy with the found plane, we can still maybe adjust the automatic orifice detection and then confirm this. Once we've confirmed the orifice and done the measurements that we need, so if you're going to place a valve inside of the inferior vena cava, then we might need to do some more diameter measurements. But if you're going to replace the tricuspid valve itself, we can now move back to the tricuspid valve space. And so click on the eye icon here once we match the face to see the structures we defined. To help us find optimal projection angles, we can perform a right mouse click and ask the software to show us the perpendicular view, in which we're both perpendicular to our inferior vena cava, ostium, as well as to the tricuspid annulus, and we automatically get our C-arm angulations, which can then of course be saved to return to at a later point. And we can also get our en-fast view. And this en-fast view can also help us to see the offset between the center of the tricuspid annulus and the center of the inferior vena cava. To further help us with understanding this information, we can then also turn on the inferior vena cava angulation. And there you can see that this distance, which is mentioned as the bridge distance, is the offset between the two. For this particular case, we see that the inferior vena cava is somewhat septal hugging, which is for crossing the valve plane actually quite a good thing, because there's also less trabeculations in this patient. Any questions up to this point?
Okay, question? Tự chọn van ảo rồi để Có gì không? Any question? Okay. Okay. So far it's okay. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, superb. So for the
Yeah,
superior
thank you.
vena cava, there is a synonymous workflow. However, unfortunately, this patient doesn't have any contrast really in the, or actually quite a short vena cava superior. So I'll just switch to a different patient to show this. So at any point in 3MENSION, we can have 3 studies open at the same time. So we can be doing 3 analyses simultaneously on the same workstation. So as you can see, there's a bit more a wider field of view for this patient. So if we now go, into the superior vena cava workflow, you can see that the software asks us to click once on the superior vena cava, synonymous with, for example, our femoral approach. And then by clicking on it, you can already see that a large chunk of the superior vena cava is detected. If we also want to have the second side branch, and we can just add that one to the mix as well, and then confirm to go into the center lining step. We click once in the atrium or at the top of the atrium, and if we want to bifurcate the center line, we can then also click in both superior vena cava arms to create a bifurcated center line. The center line can of course then be adjusted to our preferences. Sorry, was that a question?
It's okay.
And if we want to switch to the second center line, we just click on the dotted line to switch over.
Yeah. No.
Drop in
But
additional center
yeah.
line. And then if we're happy, we can just continue to the measurement step. In the measurement step, you'll see that we get our measurement panel again. So this really just looks like the femoral step, where we get a rough impression of all the diameters. We can lock in automatic polygon measurements. We can do diameter measurements to, for example, measure the length to the first bifurcation, so that we know how much room we have to land our valve if we want to go for a valve in the superior vena cava as well. And then of course, just like with the inferior vena cava, we can also look in a orifice for the superior vena cava. So it's pretty much here. And then this can also be shown in the main workflow. Would you also like me to go over the echo planning functionality? Yeah. TE only? Okay. So based. Sorry, I couldn't hear you there. So the first step of TE planning is to define the esophagus. So we can locate the esophagus on the CT scan, then place a crude center line in there. And then we could go all the way to transgastric even. This center line can then be used to slide a catheter over Let me just go back a second. So we can use this to slide the catheter over, and then we can try to find some optimal transgastric fuse, for example, where we can do a bit of retroflexion, slight adjustment in plane angle as well. And then we've got a nice cross-sectional view now. If we to transduce a bit more.
không phải thì là 40 40 40 40.
You could also try to go for a more of a fast view, as it were.
Giữa phía các lớp trên và nhân viên đầu giờ nó là tập trước.
Để cái ship của người làm được.
And in this way, because traditionally echo views for tricuspid interventions are a bit more difficult to acquire, and this might then help us to find the optimal projection angle.
Có chịu không? Lúc mà làm thì tỉnh cái mê ăn tỉnh.
Mê chứ. Ngủ hoặc là các bạn.
Gặp chưa có dạy bệnh nhân.
We can save up to 10 of these angulations by clicking on the plus sign. So transgastric, but also, of course, esophageal views can be used. Again, in this case, for example, providing a cross-sectional view of the heart. Any questions here?
It's a good view for the the good the view.
We can also, for example, use bicuspid planes. Then maybe we should. It's more of a fortune view, for example.
Cái phổi chắc sẽ nói ngày mai được không nào? Bữa nay
Dạ.
trễ giờ quá.
Mai đi bây giờ. Hết nổi rồi.
Quá được.
Mai
And then we've got
1 giờ phải nhiều việc lắm. So it's good, yeah. Yeah, we so far we can get it. Yeah.
sorry. I couldn't quite hear you.
So I think you can go ahead to finish tricuspid and then pulmonary valve replacement.
I think we are at the end of the tricuspid workflow. So we talked about defining the tricuspid, defining the leaflets, looking at the trabeculations, the inferior superior vena cava, the vessels and the valve. Maybe the last thing we could show is that you can upload your specific catheter setup and then create a catheter as well. This is a catheter of a specific company, and they asked us to just implant a flexible catheter.
Mấy 1 giờ 15 được không? Mấy sớm chút thì.
which they could then
Thấy,
bend themselves, basically.
cái này chụp hình gì?
Phải rưỡi 1:15 làm 2 cái luôn.
Quá.
Gì bị
9 giờ.
kể đó đi bây giờ.
Bây giờ mới 9 giờ, bên này 3 giờ chiều, bên kia mới 9 giờ.
Anh thì tuần sau
Kể đúng xong.
luôn không?
5 giờ sáng.
Ngày mai
Sợ anh có cái nào cái tới cái là kẹt.
Kèm bắt lại.
So you want to switch over to? You want to switch over to the pulmonary workflow?
này có làm.
Maybe next tomorrow.
Em mà
Nó không có làm cái buổi làm giờ anh.
So you change a little bit program today. So tomorrow we will you will present the airway closure and the pulmonary. So today is because our doctor have some work.
Yeah, okay. It's also fine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then tomorrow we'll start with LAA and then after that do pulmonary?
Yes, that's good.
Yeah.
Good plan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Superb. Then I'll just
So you have time
just
tomorrow,
leave
Nathan?
tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you have time tomorrow,
Um,
Nathan? You have time?
Thank you.
I think so. Let's just should work.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
If you just forward the invitation,
Okay.
and then
Will do.
if you can do the LAA, I'll do the pulmonary.
Yeah, LOA probably won't take an hour, so probably take
No,
half an hour.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
it was just due to the computer issues.
Yeah. So I'll be
Um,
probably done in 30 minutes, I guess. Yeah,
Okay,
the LA.
yeah.
So
I'll just be ready
all
from
right.
8
Awesome.
o'clock. All right.
Thank you very
See you
much.
tomorrow. Bye
See
bye.
you. Bye. Thanks, Lam, everyone.
Yeah, hello Rolis.
Hello, Lam.
Yeah,
Yep.
hello Rolis. Now we have to go tomorrow. I
Yep.
think we can talk the same time today, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Start with LA and then Nathan will join afterwards. Yep.
Yes, okay. We have
Thank you.
the module to work tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
time.
See you.
Yeah.
No worries. Bye.
Yes, bye bye. Sang với Hoàng ơi, là mình vẫn chốt cái giờ ngày mai là 1:30 đúng không?
1:15
Sớm hơn nửa tiếng à? Sớm hơn 15.
Dạ 1:15. 15 phút anh ơi.
Ok, 1:15. Mai còn 2 module nữa là xong. Ok, anh cảm ơn hai anh em.
Dạ.
Ừ.